Hello and welcome to Kirklees Local TV. I'm Milton Brown. Kirklees Local TV investigates, interrogates and celebrates black leadership. The African Descent community in Kirklees is very diverse, and there is an argument that it cannot be managed by a single person or one organisation. With racial disparity in education, housing, economics, employment, health and overrepresentation in the penal system, what is the impact and relevance of black leadership for today's generation? It would appear that since the days of the late 50s and 60s, when we had an abundance of black leaders from the African descent community who worked selflessly and tirelessly hard to lead the community to economic, political, cultural and social parity within Kirklees. Against a tirade of discrimination, these leaders demonstrated courage, sensitivity, vision and above all, collectivity to move the whole community forward. Today, there is a strong argument that many of the leaders who grew up through the 60s, 70s, and are now leaders themselves have lost touch with the needs and the vision of today's generation. Also, what is their responsibility as leaders? What are the reasons for this? Did the pioneers of the 60s, 70s, and mid-80s fail to pass on the baton of wisdom around this issue? What are our understanding and the requirements of an effective 21st century black leader? What are the expectations of black leaders today in Kirklees for today's generation of young people and their families? What is the ownership we should take for the situation we find ourselves in? What part, if any, has others played in placing us in this situation? And what are the next steps? Today, I'm joined by two very influential leaders to debate these very important questions. Mrs St. arrived here in Kirklees in 1956. She's been a stalwart in our community. She's been involved in Harambee, the Carnival, founder members of the Caribbean Association, and still involved in many community development programs. Welcome, Mrs St. And also Pastor Carlton Napier from Shabbat Ministries. Pastor Napier is involved in Harambee, Education 2000, Jamaica Nationals, arrived here in 2001 in Kirklees from the south, and also is involved with soup kitchens, educational programs for young people in and around Kirklees. Our two distinguished guests have worked in the community trenches of community action and taken time out to impact their vision, wisdom around issues of black leadership. Thank you very much and welcome to Kirklees Local TV. What is our understanding and the requirements of the 21st century black leader today? What do you think is exactly what we need?
Well, we need dedicated people out there that actually take our interests at heart and is willing to go through whatever it takes to help us move from one area to the other. Because as far as I'm concerned, those of us that been here from the 50s and 60s, we didn't actually lay a proper foundation for our children and grandchildren. Many of the things that's happening now, if we had made better arrangement, I don't think it would have been so severe.
Black leadership in the 21st century, I'm thinking of young, vibrant, strong, educated, talented, secured men and women who can and are willing to take on the legacy of our forefathers who have laid stones and foundation in this community. We can build on that, but at the same time, having our own dreams and vision and future development for our children and for ourselves.
Just want to read something here about black leadership. What is black leadership? This is from a guy called Rodney Walters, 2002, taken from the New Negativism of Black Leadership. It said the task of black leadership is to provide the vision, resources, tactics and strategies that facilitate the achievement of the objectives of black people. These objectives have just been described variously as freedom, integration, equality, liberation, or defined in terms of speaking specifically around public policies. It's a role that often requires disturbing the peace.
Yeah.
The role of black leadership is about social change. How do you feel about the key areas? Freedom, integration, equality, liberation.
Well, I think sometimes you have to be brave enough to go forward there for what is necessary. Because sometimes we see it and we know what we want, but we're a bit too timid to get out there and, you know. Yeah, you have to be prepared to get bruises sometime, you know. But then many times we go in there and we actually had to fight for what we, you know.
When was this, back in the 60s?
Well, 70s, 80s, yeah.
The big mistake I think have been made, both from the business point of view and to mention the church leadership, is that they have never got themselves into the habit of passing on information, passing on responsibilities, and passing on leadership to the next generation. And I am the first to challenge them, both on the church level, the business level, and the community level. Leadership can be inspired to say, okay, we have failed, we admit. Young men and young women, here is an opportunity. Please grab it with both hands and let us see if we can take the African Caribbean community here in Huddersfield to the next level.
I agree with what you're saying, but I have to be a community, an Afro-Caribbean community, which we're not. All the islands getting together as one. And until then, unity and strength. Until then, we can't, you know.
For me personally, I would like to see the church leadership, black church leadership, be more active to join with our community partners, Arambe, Education 2000, Shabak, Parents for Black Children Association, and all the others. On the health and well-being side, sickle cell, diabetes, let us all join together. Pull down the resources from government, local or national, and work together as one for our benefit, for the benefit of our children and the generation to come.
Where do you think all this inter-islandness started from?
Jamaican community, who seem to be in every nation a force to reckon with. Other nations came to help them. The Grenadian community, the Bajan community came to help them. It seems as if when they reach a certain level, they forgot those people who helped them at the beginning. So for the photo shoots and for the newspaper and for the clippings, those people were marginalized. Who did we see? Only the Jamaican faces. Well, those people felt hurt, felt betrayed, and they refused to work with them. We also have this little thing called the small islands. And therefore, Jamaica in particular, according to its history, have the suprema that they're a bigger island, which they are, in fairness. But then one did not want to be called a small island. And so they saw themselves as being criticized, belittled by Jamaicans. And until we heal that rift, until we show some respect, if just like how we can't call people certain names now, we've got to carry the same pattern in our own relationship.
Is it with this generation now though, let's just say the 10, 11, 13-year-old, do they have that mentality?
The younger people, I can't really say. I won't be telling the truth if I said yay or nay about that. I hope that they see each other as members of the Caribbean community, not of Jamaica, Grenada, Trinidad, or what. Because every island has a reason why they don't like this other island.
Where's the first steps that you feel we need to take?
Well, personally speaking, the first step is communication. We've got to find a way of communicating to everybody so that they can hear the same message.
I really want to get into as well, where does the African community come in? So we're going to pick that up after a short break. Okay, this is Kirklees Local TV. I'm debating around black leadership. Thank you.